We're live.
Hello and welcome to Soiree Lifestyle Series 2020. Thank you for joining our group and growing our community. We are now a community of 500 plus, and thank you to all the newest members who just recently joined. Please say hello to us in the comments and let us know that you're here. Also, please use the comment section for questions you may have for our guest speakers. The purpose of our group is to share valuable information in featured weekly segments with professionals in their respective fields around lifestyles, relationships, and entertaining. I am Rosemary Skinner. I'm a professional event and wedding planner and event designer and your owner of Soiree Event Extraordinaire. My host, Crystal Cotto Sullivan. She's a connector and coach counselor. Cynthia Cross Ballard, CB Marketing Reiki Master. Cynthia is behind the scenes today, so you won't see her on camera, but she is working behind the scenes for us. And John Sullivan Counseling. Today, our guest speakers, the dynamic duo, king and queen of networking, Theresa Nicodemo Reaume and Frank Abbruzzese. Welcome, Theresa and Frank. We are so excited to have you on the show and looking forward to learning more about business networking in 2021. We're going to start the show off with Theresa. Okay. Theresa is the owner of Successful Image Client Relations Management located in Tecumseh, Ontario, Canada. Successful Image has been helping business build relationships since 1999 with their personalized client relations management system and have clients across Canada. Successful Image designs relationship building cards, invitations, and communications for their clients. Everything from birthday cards, anniversary cards, Christmas cards, and newsletters. They are custom designed to help build brand, customer relationships, and increase retention and referrals. Theresa received the Women of the Year award through LEA, a Ladies Exclusive Alliance, for her professionalism, mentoring, and community involvement. She was also a finalist for the Entrepreneur of the Year through the Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards. She has been fundraising for Transition to Betterness for 10 years and has helped to raise over $500,000 to refurbish palliative care rooms at Windsor Regional Hospital. Theresa volunteers at the Hospice of Windsor Residential Home, working with patients and families. She also acts as their public relations ambassador and speaks on why she volunteers for hospice in helping them to recruit new volunteers, and she is part of the Hospice Volunteer Advisory Committee. She has been part of the foundation board at the Hotel Dieu Grace Hospital in the past and also volunteers for the Canadian Cancer Society. Theresa was involved with the BNI, Business Network International, for over 7 years and served as president for 3 consecutive terms. She was also their BNI ambassador for Southwestern Ontario. She started a new BNI chapter in Tecumseh and is very involved with many networking associations in the Windsor-Essex region. She is presently involved with a networking organization by the name of Windsor-Essex Refers and acts as past president, mentor, as well as sits on the membership committee. Theresa did a TED Talk in 2018 on networking for success and has spoken at Rotary Business Network International, St. Clair College, University of Windsor, We Refer, and many other organizations on networking. Please help me welcome Theresa Nicodemo. Thank you, Theresa Reaume, for joining us today.
Wow, I really need to shorten that up. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rosemary, for having Frank and I. This is exciting. I remembered my tiara today, Queen of Networking. I always get asked, where's my tiara? So today I thought I'd wear it. So thank you for having me out. Frank was gracious enough to let me go first. He thought always a gentleman. I wanted to share a few networking tips with you today, and then Frank's going to share some, and then we can have a nice chat, hopefully. So one, I wanted to talk about how networking is actually a really great marketing tool. And networking, it's also a skill. And the good news about that is a skill can be practiced and therefore gotten better at. So if you practice and you learn the right ways to do it, you can get better at networking. Networking is about building relationships. I'm going to repeat that. Networking is about building relationships. It's about how can I help you? Okay, it's all about helping other people. So you go in there with that mindset, you help others, and it does come back to you. There is a right way and a wrong way to network. And one of the right ways to network, we're going to cover some of that here today. And if you'd like to get into more detail about it, as Rosemary said, you can go to my TED Talk on networking for success on YouTube. First point, body language. So you need to remember body language. You need to remember your own. So if you're standing there and you've got your arms crossed and you're not smiling, is anyone going to want to approach you? Well, no, of course not. So the biggest thing is to remember to smile. And also when you walk into a room, look for open circles. So that is people's way of inviting you into their conversation. If people look like they're talking intently, do not approach those people. There's a lot of other people around who are more than willing to welcome you into their circle. Lateral networking. It's important to find a common ground. It's important to find a common interest. And one great way to do this is through LinkedIn. And I know Frank's going to talk about that a little more after. But Google, if you know somebody's going to be at an event or on a Zoom call, Google them ahead of time. Go to their LinkedIn profile. Look at what they've done and what their interests are, what they're interested in. And maybe you have a similar interest, and that is how you build rapport. You build rapport by building a relationship based on common interests and asking them about that. Ask them about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. Everybody has a story. Everybody would love to share their story if someone's willing to listen. So if you go and you find something out about them, ask them about it. Trust me, they'll talk. So that's another thing is lateral networking. The networking disconnect. And this is when people go to a networking event to sell. That is not the place to sell. Nobody goes there to get business. Nobody goes there to close sales. They go there to build relationships, and that is so important. So you need to remember that when you're going to a networking event, you're not going there to close sales. You're going there to actively listen, and what that means is you're listening for how you can help them. Because again, networking is about helping others. So how can I help this person? I'm going to be listening. I'm going to be paying attention, and I'm not going to be closing sales. I'm going to be building relationships with people. VCP, the visibility, credibility, profitability. Dr. Ivan Meisner, the brilliant Dr. Ivan Meisner, who founded BNI, Business Network International, talks about the VCP process. And what that means is first you need to get out there and be visible in your community. And whether that's through charity or giving back in some way, belonging to different networking groups, belonging maybe to a Rotary, a BNI, a We Refer group. But being out there and being visible, going to many different networking events, then you need to build credibility. And you do that by showing up on time, dressing the part, acting appropriately. That will build your credibility over time. You need to remember it's called networking, not net sitting, net eating, or net drinking. So it is, you're working, so networking. So you build the credibility, and in time, people will get to know, like, and trust you. And then that will lead to profitability. So that's your VCP process. And lastly, follow up. The fortune's in the follow up. If you don't follow up, you might as well stay home. So you go to this event, you get some business cards. What do you do with them? You throw them in your drawer. Well, you're not there to collect a bunch of business cards. If you make 3 or 4 good connections, not just contacts, connections with people, then you're going to follow up with them. And then that's how you start the relationship, build the relationship, help one another out, and hopefully it leads to doing business together. I wanted to touch on a couple of things about networking in this climate that we're in now. I have every hope that in the very, very near future, we will be back to face-to-face networking. I hope we are. I miss it. I miss hugging people. I miss eye contact. I miss shaking hands. I hope that we're back to that really, really soon. But in the meantime, actually, I learned this from Frank at another networking event, which was on Zoom. And he said, you know what? People are not as busy. People are home. People are around. Most people post you have their cell number, use it. And I did. And I called people, and I actually got a hold of people high up people who usually don't answer their phone. You never get through to them. I got through to them, and I've made some great connections during this time. So try it, it works. So try to get hold of people. They're not as busy right now. Get on the Zoom call early. You know, when you're all waiting and it's a little bit awkward and nobody's talking, get on there early because you never know who you're going to connect with. That's time to talk. And I actually did that. And I actually got to talk with Ivan Meisner at one time. And I actually got to talk with Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet. I don't know if any of you know that show, The Prophet, Profit. Excellent, excellent show. And I got to speak with him too. And that was exciting. And the only reason I did was because he was on the Zoom call and we were just sitting there waiting for people to come on. So that was pretty exciting. And remember, we can see you. We can see you. We can see when you get up and leave. We can see when you're talking to somebody else. We can see when you're doing other things. So, you know, keep your attention. People are talking and you need to keep your attention. So remember that we can see you. If you want to wear a tutu to the meeting, go ahead. We can't see that. But no, I'm not wearing a tutu. Inside joke. But, you know, from the neck up, we can see you, and you need to make sure that you're aware of that. And we also need to get creative. So maybe we can't be face-to-face, but we can do Zoom calls. Hopefully we can go to a coffee shop soon and do that. Go for a walk. Ask the person if they want to go for a walk. Go for a walk and talk and get to know each other. It's a very casual atmosphere that will probably get people to open up even more. So there's another way to try to network in the climate we're in right now. So thank you so much for the time, and I hope you enjoyed the nuggets that I've given you, the little tips. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Theresa. That was excellent. And I know we're going to dig in more. We're going to have Frank is going to be up next, the king of networking. So Frank is married to the lovely Carmela for 27 years with two beautiful daughters, Haley, 23, and Sid, 20. He is the CEO and president of AlphaKOR. He has been 32 years in the technology and innovation sector. He enjoys developing long-term relationships for companies and organizations of all sizes. He provides strategic planning for their innovation technology investment, disaster data recovery plans, web development, web marketing, custom software, and cybersecurity. AlphaKOR has a technical expertise in all facets of IT hardware, 24/7 support, web development, digital marketing, custom software development, data security, data disaster, and recovery. He was a BCom from the University of Windsor, graduating in 1988. Enjoying Networking, aka the Networking King and the Connector, started a second networking group called Wednesday Wisdom. Entrepreneur of the Year 2012, the Chamber of Commerce BEA, the Tech Mentor of the Year 2017, Tech CEO of the Year 2019, and currently sitting on the following boards as a director: Build a Dream, he's a co-signer for the nonprofit application and registered charitable organization, the Giving 8, part of the original board, the Windsor Essex Child Youth Advocacy Center. He enjoys supporting the community over the years with these not-for-profit organizations. Entrepreneur in Residence, We Tech Alliance, Chair, Program Advisory Committee for Networking Curriculum, St. Clair College, Mentor, Epicenter, University of Windsor. AlphaKOR is a founding and chartered member of We Tech Alliance. Previously served on the following not-for-profits boards: Chair of the Challenge Cup at the Windsor Essex Regional Chamber of Commerce, Vice Chair of Old Riverside BIA, Vice Chair of the Better Business Bureau, President of the Windsor Executive Association, and Chair of We Tech Alliance. That is a very impressive resume. You both have very impressive resumes. And the reason I read them all is because I want the viewers to know how community oriented you both are, and how all the work that you do in addition to all the work you do in your own businesses. And that's, so I think it's important for people to know. So without further ado, welcome, Frank. Thank you for being on the show. And we're so excited to hear what you have to say. And then we'll come together all together as a panel.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rosemary, for that introduction, and proud to be part of the community. I have my YQG shirt on today. I'm not wearing the tutu, sorry. And I have to find a crown to keep up with Theresa. And I knew this was going to be tough. I only wrote 4 pages of notes, but I have to throw half of them out. Theresa you covered it so well. So I'm going to try to add something new and from a different direction. How's that? So thanks again, Rosemary, Crystal, and John for the invitation. Very happy to be here this afternoon. So I want to dive into the virtual networking events because we all pivoted last March. So there's a lot of questions people asking is, where can we network today? There are a lot of groups out there. We're still doing them virtual. I know there's organizations, if you take a look at your Facebook, your Instagram, and especially we're going to talk about LinkedIn because that's actually my favorite tool. There are groups out there. And one that we formed that kind of took a sabbatical during this pandemic is the Windsor Essex Circle. So we did have that group for about 10 years. And my co-host, I believe, is on, Joe DeGiorgio, said he'd join us today. If you don't know Joe, get to know him and his services. Joe and I, one day, were just brainstorming on how can we bring people together. And we decided to just go out and do something that had no agenda, nothing except to connect people, no fee. And it actually surprised both of us. It took off in a bigger way than we ever expected. And I think it's a lot of the highlights that Theresa hit. We were building relationships, we were helping other people, we're giving back to the community. And it was really exciting to see 1,100 people on the LinkedIn group. To me, that was just incredible what we could build, even in the old world, in the virtual world. So that was exciting. We had about 70 people joining us once a month during our peak. And right now, we're just going to table it for the moment and see what the future brings. The brand new idea that came out of the gate, I was bored the first week of this year, being inundated with everything. And instead of making New Year's resolutions, I thought, I'm going to start a brand new group. And it's called, Rosemary mentioned, Wednesday Wisdom. So that's every Wednesday at 11 o'clock to 12. And it's a way to celebrate the midweek point. So we want to know how your week's going and what's going to happen in the second half of the week. But really, my really not so hidden agenda is to reach out to everyone and have a very open forum is how we can help and what is your biggest challenge. It could be personal, could be business, and it's all about connecting closer and helping everyone. This morning's event, I get to volunteer on another good cause to help someone get her message out that she's struggling. So there you go. Hopefully I can help her make a difference in the community. A lot of organizations out there, such as golf courses and nonprofits that we are either involved in and we're aware of, have what's called annual general meetings. If you're able to hop on one of those, I recommend it. There's many people in the community that are volunteering on their boards that are members. And when you go to those events, look and listen virtually, and then reach out to some of the people. So I'd say, hey, John, I saw you on this event today. Just wanted to touch base, see how things are going. So again, it's building your relationship, meeting people in a different format than running out to physical events. And we talked about, Theresa mentioned about sharing your story, very important, and ask the other person to share their story. Ask them questions to show that you're listening. It's very important. I agree about the wandering, right? Multitasking. I have to put my phone aside and put it upside down because whenever I see the notifications, I want to grab it to see what's going on. So focus on the task at hand, the people around you, virtual and in the real world once we get together soon, hopefully. Because that body language, very important. Eye contact, important when we're talking to people. So you guys are on my screen up here. My notes are down here. So my eyes are going like this, which I'm not used to, right? So in the virtual world, I had to adapt a little bit. I was asked to talk a little bit about how we pivoted and working from home and working from the office. So just to share with you, AlphaKOR, our entire team, except for 6 of us in March, went home. And we had to build immediately work from home policies, change our protocols. How do we deal with company equipment, personal equipment? And this resulted in helping so many companies on changing and helping them write their policies, helping them with their equipment. How do we stay safe? There's been all this cybersecurity. There's been all these ransomware. So if you or you know anyone that has any questions or concerns, we could definitely point you in the right direction. We want to help everyone run their corporation safe. Unfortunately, there's a lot of money that's going out to the wrong people. So if we can make a difference by connecting, build your network, have the conversation and ask, is there anything you need help with? And on the business side of it, we want to make sure we're following the right protocols and keeping everyone running, because that's very important today locally as well. Let's see, in the in-person networking events, one question I had when we do move back, do we think the handshake is over? That's a question I want to ask everyone. Because whenever I give talks on networking, there is the firm handshake, there's a jellyfish handshake, then there's others that don't shake hands. Theresa mentioned a hugger. I'm a hugger. I give everyone a big hug. So we can't always do that, right? Especially today. But really, when we do meet, some people don't want to shake hands, so you can cross your hands and nod your head to give a clear sign that you're not a handshaker. So we'll see what happens with the handshake. Theresa and I have a bet going. She says it's hasn't ended and it will come back. I'm saying it's not coming back. So we'll see who's right in the long run. There's a concept called triad relationships, and some of us do this on a regular basis without realizing it. So if I'm at an event and I see Crystal, even this event right now, and I see her and I'm talking to her, and all of a sudden Rosemary comes along, who I happen to know her, but she doesn't know Crystal, for example, I would connect the two of them together and then walk away. That's a triad where three of us are connected, but yet two of us are not connected, and you would connect them. And all of a sudden you've created what's called triad relationships. And you hope the two of them, when you walk away or you drop off the virtual screen, they say, wow, that was a nice connection this person made. What do you do? And share your story. And all of a sudden we all help each other build our network in a very simple, really non-intrusive way. And then also when we're talking about having conversations and you want to step in, it's always tough, right? I politely barge in, but not everyone can do that. So it's nice when you say, hey, welcome, why don't you join our group, and then introduce and walk away if that's appropriate to get them connected. So I recommend that. I also agree with the not net drinking, net eating. I actually was at an event with a few hundred people at a gala, and apparently one of the young ladies in the crowd, one of my talks, came up to me and she says, our table has a bet if you're going to eat or not. So we're going to watch you, because you said there's no eating at events. I said, you can eat at a gala. So I thought that was interesting. They were listening. But you're right about stuff in your face and, getting sloppy, right? So good points, Theresa. LinkedIn, my favorite tool. I hope everyone is on LinkedIn. If you're not, if that's one great nugget to take away, get onto LinkedIn. When I meet anyone, one of the very first things I do with those business cards, or anyone I meet in the virtual, I hop on LinkedIn and try to find them, and I send a connection. A lot of times I'll try to send a personal note. It was nice seeing you at that event this morning. Looking forward to, and then, personalize a little bit. Once they do connect with you, regardless of who sent the invite, be the first one to thank them for connecting. Thank you for connecting. How are things going? And my big question these days, many of you know, is what is your biggest challenge? It's a nice big conversation starter. Some people really like it and get into really big conversations. Others ignore it. Others will talk personal or professional. But it's better than the, how are you doing, which we use still, of course. But it's coming up with your own little saying that fits your personality. And I wanted to mention on LinkedIn, there's groups there, and make your connections. But for those in the audience that are looking for jobs or sending out resumes, or those of you in the HR and management position where you're looking for candidates, it's an excellent tool that you can use and complement all your current efforts with any of your marketing, your social marketing, and with your personnel employment agencies that you're using. Make sure that you look at LinkedIn as a tool. Definitely recommend it. And on the other side of it, since I've been in this industry 32 years, my email's been out there 25 years, the same here at AlphaKOR. I get a lot of telemarketers on LinkedIn calling me, emailing me in LinkedIn. Try to be courteous and polite, but when you are receiving a lot of that and a high volume of it, that means you're actually out there. You're putting yourself in terms of networking. You're building your connection. That's one of those pulses where you could say, yeah, it's kind of annoying in one way, but another way you can say, hey, I must be hitting some people's radars. And last thing I want to say on the social media is blog. If you're not blogging and you're an owner, a president, a manager, a sales manager, I would strongly recommend to blog once a week consistently. The Building Circles blog goes out every Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. through all my channels. It goes through AlphaKOR channels at 9:30. I run into people that say, hey, I look forward to Wednesday mornings to read your blog. So there you go. But the point I make about the blog is you're the brand of your corporation, whether you like it or not. And you are the expert on the subject matter. So be the expert on the subject matter. And my YQG, it is the place to be. We built an international global company right here in Windsor. And I know you can too. And I wish everyone continued success. So thank you for having me. And Theresa and I know have some more things to say, I'm sure.
Thank you, Frank. That was excellent. Both you and
That's good,
Theresa,
Frank.
I know your wealth of knowledge, both you have so much experience in networking, in business, in the community, and building relationships. It was interesting when you were saying about building relationships. I came from a banking background, and that was one of the things that the bank started to learn was to build client relationships and that. And which was really interesting, right? Because it's so true. You carry it with you through all your business. And I think when you establish good relationships with clients and stuff, you have those clients for a very long time. And that. So I'm going to open it up. So I'll just ask Crystal first if there's any questions or comments from our viewers yet, or.
Okay, there's lots. We've got lots and lots of comments here. We've got people saying, thank you both. Great, Frank and Theresa. So Jackie Reagan, Michael Crawley,
Wow.
Melissa Tarr. We've got people saying they can't wait to hug you.
Back at you.
You're Theresa or both.
Let's see. Oh, there's one little story about someone witnessed someone at a networking event just going around handing out cards. Do you have my card? Do you have my card? Do you have my card? And Theresa, when you talk about the VCP, the P stands for poor, not profitable, right? In that situation. Cynthia has posted both of your connections. Let me see if there are some questions. It's very, very encouraging. People are really excited that you're on. Yay, Frank from Tony Wells. Let's see. Norma McDonald says, great trip. Tips, Theresa. Renee Burns says, hello. Margaret Jacobs would like to have a tutu. Okay, so there you go. There's lots of interaction going on there. Mostly really some positive affirmations of everything that you said. So that's great. And they love your crown, Theresa.
Thank you. Wonderful.
He's earned that crown for networking.
I have.
So I'm just going to ask you, it's about LinkedIn. So that is probably in my own business, probably the least used tool that I use, even though I know that is probably is it fair to say the biggest marketing tool right now is LinkedIn, or the best way to connect? And Theresa, you had such a great tip about just going into LinkedIn and looking at what people's interests are and starting a conversation. I thought, what a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I have it for the business, and we have it for the show, which I actually forgot until you had said, how about sharing the show on there? And I went, oh my God, I think we have a LinkedIn stuff. We've never used it, thankfully. But there's so many things you don't even know. But do you guys want to speak a little bit more to that? Because I don't think, if any, like myself, I knew it, but don't really think about it, because like Facebook is right in front of you. Instagram is right in front of you. So do you guys maybe want to speak to that and how to maybe use it?
Oh, well, if I'll go first, Frank, is that okay? Yeah. So LinkedIn is more of a business platform, and that's why I like it. It's very professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, like Frank said, I make a connection, I go and I link in with them. That's the first thing I do. And you can find out a lot about a person, and you never know who that person knows. And you can see that, and you can see how they're connected with other people, and that can be very helpful. I remember one time I had sent someone a message. I find I get more the presidents and CEOs, et cetera, of companies on LinkedIn than I would anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I had sent someone a message, and he got right back to me, and he said, we're having a regional sales meeting next month. Would you care to present at it? And I was like, yeah, you know, it was a huge opportunity, and it was just partly timing, right place, right time. But LinkedIn can do that for you. I think it's a great tool. I really do. Yeah.
Agreed 100%. And when you refer to the follow-up, those were three of the keys, right? Follow up, follow up, follow up. So real quick, there's a business owner that I met in this community. Didn't know if he knew me or not. Always used to see him at the Spitfire games. So long story short, I connected on LinkedIn. I sent him an email every 6 months for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And he finally responded the first time and said, jokingly, I don't know what your team does, but I know one thing, your team has to meet with my team. And he moved his business to AlphaKOR. So I was really excited about that. And I always thought, how can I replicate that in the physical world? Can I send him a mail or can I knock on his door? But I found LinkedIn messages do set you apart, and people do read them, and you can tell if it's been read or not. And I find that that tool is very powerful as opposed to the traditional email or traditional marketing in certain circumstances. So I was
It makes
excited.
it, yeah, it makes it not a cold call because that person
Yeah.
does know you and they can put a face to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times too, when you go to an event and you've, you know, looked at your LinkedIn, you know, certain people are going to be there, you know them because you've seen their face on LinkedIn. So it's helpful that way too. I remember I went to a trade show and I knew certain people were going to be there. So I made sure I went to all their profiles and I had their face embedded in my brain.
I love
And
that tip too.
yeah, and I went and met each one and knew who each one was.
You're excellent at that.
Yeah.
And Frank, what you said, and I think I know when we had our pre-show meeting, we were talking about that sometimes when you make those connections, they're not going to come, they may not come around that week, that day, could
No.
be years later. So here's
Yeah.
a prime example. So just building up what we used to call it the Rolodex, right? But you never know. And sometimes it's not even maybe that you're going to get that business, but maybe one of your clients needs a service with somebody you've connected. So
Yeah.
you're able to say, hey, you know, here's this person can help you.
Yeah.
So it's really important to build those relationships and build those connections.
The other thing too, Rosemary, is it's very helpful and useful in knowing when people move into different companies, etc.
Yeah.
And you can see, oh, this person was here, now they're here, and now we can do business together. Or now I can send them a congrats on your new job, etc. And you kind of get the ball rolling that way. But it's very helpful in getting to know where people are now or when they've moved to different businesses.
I wanted to ask you, Frank, you talked about really pivoting to the home office and having people work at home. And one of the things that we've done over the last, it'll be almost a year that we've done this, is to look at the challenges. And one of the big challenges that people often talk about is working from home, how to set up a home office, and how to manage a schedule at home. Because for some people, they think, okay, I've got meeting, and then they burn themselves out and they don't have the coffee room to walk to or check in with a coworker. And so maybe some advice about people actually working at home during this time.
Yeah, you hit a lot of good points. We always say to find, you have to find your own space and treat it like the office in the home. The rare time I work from home, the kitchen is my vice, so I have to stay away from the kitchen. But getting up and going for walks, very important. Other family members, especially younger kids, the pets, those distractions you don't need during the actual workspace. So you need a nice quiet and have that discipline. There's been a lot of talk about internet service providers. Just think about it for a minute. If everybody's business exploded exponentially overnight, there's no way they could handle it. So we had to give them some slack at the beginning. They've done a great job. No one anticipated the volume, but that was the number one challenges we had, making sure we had really good connectivity because everything went virtual overnight. So that was a tall order. And I think the internet companies did a great job on that. The people at home, you really need to check into your team. Myself, I call it laps. I used to do 8 to 10 laps at AlphaKOR. We got a large building. So I go bump into people, ask how their day's going, what they're working on, anything I can help you with. I found it was unrealistic to call or to Zoom up one-on-one. So what we did, the managers are doing it on a daily basis with the teams, respectively. Every Friday at 4:30, I do a whole team group hug where we have a meeting with everyone virtually. We've had a little bit of trivia, some games, some contests. So it's kind of like our monthly staff meeting, kind of a 20 to 30-minute Friday afternoon before they head into the weekend. We have found that has helped with morale, keep the communication. I think that's the biggest thing about working from home is you're disconnected and you feel isolated. So if you're the one that's feeling that way, I would take the initiative to bring those to management, to ownership, and to bring those ideas forward, and to reach out to your coworkers as well, and just take that break here and there, because again, it's at home. We found we're working earlier, so now we're at 7 a.m. working instead of the 8 a.m., for example. And then at 5:30, we're like thinking about dinner, but we're still working. Where we usually leave the office at 5 for some of us. Others were 24/7 because our cell phone's glued to us. So we have that other issue. But I hope that helps. The home office is not easy. And, I would have discussions with people in your company, people like myself, Theresa, anyone else that you can reach out to for some suggestions. We're all here to help.
I like that idea of the team meeting on Fridays. It kind of ties the week up. There was a great article in the Globe and Mail about a month ago, and it was talking about a company in Toronto that actually they closed their offices because they realized that everybody could work from home. And one of the advantages was they could actually hire people globally as opposed to just in Toronto. People didn't have to move to Toronto. And what they did is they had something like you're talking about, but they also had what they called library time. So they would have a Zoom call, but it wasn't a formal call. And people were just kind of on while they were working. And if they wanted to talk to somebody, they could just say, okay, hey, are you there? Or chat, or in the chat, so-and-so, are you there? Could we have a chat about something? And I thought, well, that is interesting as well in terms of a more informal way of connecting people. I'm not sure how well it would work, but in some situations, it might be a good idea.
Well, one of the things my daughter's doing right now, so she's gone away to Guelph to grad school, and I took over her bedroom as my office.
That's good, convenient.
But what she's doing, which I thought was really neat, is they study with another student. So they don't know this student. The student can be anywhere, and you go onto this forum and you say, I want to study at this time. So they get on and they tell each other what their intentions are, and they kind of hold each other accountable. And I thought, what a great idea. There's so much out there that you can, if you want to, you can reach out to.
So I have a question for you both. The old terminology, I don't know if you still use the elevator speech. You mentioned about that. So can we talk a little bit about that and what should be in that 30-second little, I guess, ad?
Yeah. Well, elevator speech or infomercial. And I think you said it when we were talking before the meeting, less is more. You want to say what you do in the shortest, most minimal amount of time while still getting your point across. So if you go on and on and on, people tune out. So if you can get your point across in its simplest form, short and sweet, and even leave them a little bit intrigued, then, and maybe have a tagline. For example, mine is the fortunes in the follow-up, because we do follow-up for businesses. Then if everybody leaves and just remembers Theresa follow-up, and they're talking to somebody and they need help with that, well, then that comes back to you, right? So you want it to be short, sweet, and catchy, memorable.
Now, speaking of the follow-up, back in my banking days, I remember it was the 72-hour follow-up. What are your thoughts on that? It was when we sent out something to a client that we had to follow up within 72 hours.
Can I take this one, Frank?
I think that is good. I used to follow up the next day in the early days of email, just because people weren't. But then we moved that to 2 days. The world is moving so quickly, and the email is important to us, but it might not be important to you. So if we email this afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, I would follow up by end of day Friday.
Okay, like the 48 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
I had, when you send out, like we send out our proposals and that, we do have the read receipt, so we know that they received it. Most times people don't acknowledge it. So I will send another email the following day, just want to follow up. Have you had received your proposal? And then, I'll follow up with you in a couple more days to discuss it with you. And make any changes or answer any questions. So the 48-hour rule. Yeah, I remember in banking, it was like the 72 hours you had to follow up.
I was going to say after the 48 hours, that's the second email, right? The follow up.
Yes.
No response by end of next business day. There's this technology's been around 100+ years. Pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you could send them a nice card.
Yeah. Oh, you can say when I start.
No, but honestly, the phone, yes, the phone, use the phone. It is a great tool.
It is.
Yeah, so, and it takes 5 to 6 times to follow up with somebody before you actually, most of the time, get an answer from somebody. So don't give up. Don't give
Yeah,
up.
that's a good one. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
And then Frank, YQG, could you want to speak to that? And we have had Windsor Essex Tourism on a couple of times. And
Okay.
so we're very firm supporters of shopping local, enjoying local. So do you want to speak more to it?
Sure. I love it because we're using, you know, our destination code, your quick gateway, and we love it. Local, Takeout Tuesday, local, you know, we've had a lot of great stuff going on. But where I really came up with the question why Windsor was about almost 6 years ago now when we had our open house at this building that we're in. That was the big question is like, why are you guys staying in Windsor? Like, why are you making this investment in this big building and you're renovating and you bought a competitor in town and all this stuff was going on. And I remember ending that with the media here at the front of the podium saying, and the question is, why not Windsor? And that was what it was. I'm very proud. I grew up in Leamington. I'm a county boy. So I love the county. I love the city. I love the differences in opinion and how we're together. We're border town. I mean, it's interesting how the whole region has evolved. I did leave Windsor once back in 1990 for 9 months and was in the Toronto area. Got to know and feel what it was like to run a huge retail store in Toronto. I was on top of the world, even in there. And I made a decision. I'm going home because it's a lot better here. That was one of the best
Agreed.
decisions I ever made is coming back here.
Agreed.
Well, thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
For an asset to our city. And Theresa, I wanted if you could talk about your TED Talks a little bit. So we've got it posted, the link.
Yes.
Just to tell people what they can, by you going there and listening to it, what they can pick up from it.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to echo what Frank said. I think Windsor is a great place to grow up and raise your family. I'm born and raised here, and I love it. The people are so friendly, and I hear that over and over again from people who move here from other regions. And it's a great place to live. The weather's awesome. You have the water. You have the border city. It is a great place to live.
Definitely.
So in 2018, I had the amazing opportunity to do a TED Talk. I was quite flattered to be asked, and it was quite a process to apply and be interviewed and get into it. And had to do my presentation, you know, in front of a panel. I kind of felt like I was on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den a little bit, it was a little bit of an intimidating experience, but a wonderful experience. And it was held at the Fogelar, and I hope they bring it back. It was just a fantastic opportunity, and I just pretty well what we talked about here today. It's called Networking for Success. I expand on those points a little bit more, and it was a fabulous opportunity, a fabulous day. So many wonderful business people out at that day supporting.
Thank you. Crystal, did you have something for Theresa? Like,
I wanted to just make the comment. You mentioned the university and the college, and it's pretty exciting to hear, Frank, that you're on the advisory board for, I'm assuming it's the business area of the college, and that Theresa, you've spoken at the university. I think that it's one of the areas, business is not taught unless students, you know, stream into it, but they don't always think of it. And so I think it's really important to really be in front of young people and to talk to them about networking, talk to them about business in general.
Right. The
so that
soft
they
skills
realize
are
it's
not
an
taught.
option.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just wanted to make that comment that's really great. Now, have you had students coming to network events?
Yes, we actually put the Windsor Essex Circle at Epicenter, and it's interesting. We were probably 20 people talking, and every once in a while, students would come across and kind of be outside. So, you know, my wife always says I'm the host everywhere I go. So I would just break from the circle, talk to them, bring them in, introduce them, and I didn't even know who they were. But I have to share a story when Chamber had one of their events at the KEG. I was at Epicenter mentoring for WeTech a bit and getting caught up in some of the students, but I wanted to go to that Chamber event. So I beeline down there and I ran into my cousin who was standing at the door, and there was like 100 people in there. The place was packed. He says, Frank, I've been here 45 minutes. I haven't met anybody. These network events are a waste of time. So I literally grabbed him and said, follow me. We did one lap in an hour and a half. And he had like Theresa said, he's beginner, right? Stack of business cards. He was overwhelmed, but he said something. He goes, it's amazing, cousin, how you know everyone. I go, half these people I just met tonight for the first time.
You know what?
It was really exciting because my point on that is anyone can do it.
Yep.
So it was just a lot of fun to take someone who never networked before and to meet all those people. Yeah.
I think the stats are that in a networking event, about 80% of people just talk to people they know.
Yes.
It's really high.
Yes.
It's higher than I would have thought. So and the whole point of it is to meet people you don't know.
Right. And you should go by yourself because, when I do go with a friend, we go, okay, I'm going this way, you're going that way. I'll see you in a bit. Yeah. And I have a story to share too. Frank, it was at a Chamber event. And I talk a little bit about this at the beginning of the TED Talk. And, this young girl walked in the room, was so intimidated, turned around, left, and went back to her car and started to cry. And she told me that the next event she came to, she said, I'm so glad I saw you. She didn't know me, but I smiled at her. And she said, you made it unintimidating to come in. And then I proceeded to take her into my wing and introduce her around. And she was so grateful. Awesome. It's a hard thing to do, but, smile at people. And when they come into your circle, kind of bring them up to speed on what you're talking about so they feel a part of it and maybe they can contribute, maybe you say, oh, Rosemary was just telling us about her trip to Paris last year or something like that.
Here's my dream.
And maybe that person went to Paris before. So there you go. There's their connection. They can start talking about that. So that's important. So I think
the thing I took from both of you guys is how can I help?
Yep.
As opposed to what can you do for me?
Yes.
It's how can I help?
How can I help you?
You're doing this. Oh, well, how can I help? And my wife, Crystal, is a connector and she's great at that, of connecting like you and you and you and you. And then who knows what happens, but it doesn't matter. But it's the idea of connecting people but how can I help? That's the thing I took away from today's talk from both of you. Thanks.
Thank you. So true.
So I was going to ask you both, there's so many networking groups out there. How do you kind of determine what is the best group for you? So it's one that you can sign up for all of them, but what are some of the key things you should look for in a networking group and then just kind of decide this is the best one for me or for the type of business I do?
I look, if Frank's involved, then I get involved. True. I was his first member of Windsor Essex Circle. I thought if he's involved, I got to be in it.
I had been out to the Circle, and they were actually one of the best networking groups. Yeah. And what I liked about that group, nobody was trying to sell you. They were just speaking with you and genuinely wanted to know what it is you did. Yeah. So I really like that. And one of the other the groups and Margaret Jacobs is on is I belong to, and Crystal is Linked Ladies Networking. Yeah. And one of the things that I like about that group as well is not somebody's trying to sell you anything, but they do they want to know what you do, but they also support each other in business, which is really big. It's not like that. I think I've joined every networking group that was out there. But then you realize over the years, I can't do this, be out every night networking. So what are the groups that really align with what I want to do or how I want to help somebody or vice versa? And in my own personal business, because I do events and that, I do have a network of many professionals I work with, but that's years of building up those relationships and really having that trust factor, which is really important. So when we're doing our events or something, it's so easy just to boom, 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 because I know that they're really good at what they do and stuff. But, and I know the Chamber After Hours is another really good resource for networking. And so I'm just wondering if you have a couple favorites that you think, or what would you say to people that maybe it's younger or newer entrepreneurs who are I'm not sure, where do I start to network and with which group?
I would recommend they get on LinkedIn and connect with people like you, Theresa, everyone on the group, myself. Mm-hmm. And really the questions are, what is it that you want from the networking group? Are you advancing your career? Are you new? Are you in business and you want to make new connections? Are you looking for suppliers? Because there's a lot of great people that we can lean on to help. And I always ask who's part of the group? How long has the group been around? What's the mission? What's the mandate? Because if I'm part of the group, I'm supporting the overall picture by association. So I want to make sure that I understand. So any of those groups, those are some of the questions I ask. And I'm pretty open and like to join a lot of the groups. And for the females, there are some, and maybe Theresa can speak to, because I was a guest speaker actually on one of them. There are some wonderful women organizations in this community. And any of the young females that are listening, I'd strongly recommend take a look at them. And that's a great way to start, and it's a great environment. And again, I think somebody young starting, not a lot of experience. If you're in a women's forum, a women's group, I think it's going to be a good learning to move into some of the other ones, like we mentioned, the Chamber, the Circle, Wednesday Wisdom, etc. Those are all non-intrusive as well and very easy to welcome you aboard. That's what I'd recommend.
That's great.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, yeah, there are some really great women's networking events around town. And also what Frank said about what do you want to get out of this? There's some also some great structured networking events around, like the one I belong to, like We Refer, like BNI. We Refer is and BNI, they're structured networking. So you're going there for the purpose to get business, but the philosophy is you give and you get back. What you give comes back to you. So it's very structured. You get to do an infomercial, you get to do a presentation. It's weekly, it's the same people, but again, that's how you build the relationship. It's all about training a sales, you look at it as training your sales force so they understand what you do, so they can be a good referral source for you, and getting to know them so that you can be a good referral source for them. So it depends what you're looking for.
Yeah. I was part of a network group, referral network.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
So it was the idea of having 30 people who knew what you did, who could recommend you. So
Yes.
it was, and they kept track of referrals and closed business and stuff. It was very, very helpful. That's where I met Cynthia, who's now part of our of this soiree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, it takes time. It takes a lot of time and patience. I just jotted down, I just thinking of it when Theresa was talking. It took me almost 10 years to actually start networking. I didn't even do it in the first 10 years of my career. So I started, a little bit later into it, but then it took a while. It took several years after that to really connect with people that could connect you with others. So you need to be patient. I just want to comment on the solo thing. Sometimes I go to events with the reps back pre, and they would grab a seat at a table and say, "Hey, Frank, sit with me." And I'd say, "No, sorry." And I'd go to another table because I want to sit with 7 different people. And just like Theresa, when I see her networking, besides the hi and the hug, we don't really talk to each other.
We don't talk to each other all night.
We can talk to each other anytime we want.
True.
And you're right. When you go with someone and you have to babysit them, for lack of a better word, we can't do what we do. So keep that in mind. Lean out to like a networking mentor and, have them bring you out and introduce you. That way they can do the triad thing and let you off on your own.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it, and get out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
I'm speaking from experience. So
That's
it's
great
something
advice.
that is not easy to do, but a lot of people here to welcome you and help.
And I think once you get comfortable doing it and kind of get your routine down and take these great pointers that you've both shared with us today, taking that all in, it will make it easier. And as time goes on, and what I think is great is both Frank and Theresa, that you do recognize when somebody's at a networking event and maybe they're somebody that's new to it, and that you actually took the time to take them around. So that's really important. So somebody who is experienced at doing it, and you are at a networking event and you do see somebody kind of shying away and not really engaging, just remember what these 2 wonderful networkers have shared. Like, just take them under your wing.
Always act like the host.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I like that when they said that you're always the host.
Okay, so we've got a
Queen of
few
Roses.
questions coming in.
Hey.
Here, let's see, real quickly. Do you have any advice for Facebook? I know, Theresa, you don't use Facebook. Any advice, Frank, for Facebook?
Facebook for networking. So there are groups there as well. There's the one group, you can message me later. I can send you some out, but there are some virtual groups there that go Facebook Live that I'd recommend. There are a few.
Soiree.
Yeah, but I found Facebook is a happy blur between professional, the business, and the personal side of it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's where I even get a little more vulnerable because there's sometimes photos of the family or family events and my daughters, which we don't normally see on the business side of it. So it kind of shows a different side of a person. I kind of like that good blend.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I can help you with the networking events.
Okay. Someone is asking, actually, Cynthia, do you feel being part of many groups is too much? My question is, there such a thing as over networking or being too visible? Does it come across that you're not busy?
I think it does. I think you can belong to too many because at the end of the day, you know, you are looking for business and looking for referrals and looking to help other people bring them referrals. And if you spread yourself too thin, where do your allegiances lie? So, you know, usually try to get to 2 to 3 networking events a month. I think that's doable. And I don't think that's overextending yourself. Certain times of the year I can't because December is my busiest time. I do Christmas cards. So you won't see me at anything in November and December, but other times of the year I'm out more. But yes, I think you can appear, you can go to too many.
Okay. And then Jackie Reagan says that what she does when she's working at home is she builds in a wellness check right into her calendar because she can get too nose into the work. And then also she said that some people they Zoom for lunch.
Oh.
Yeah, which I thought was an interesting idea. So, you know, they take a lunch break and it forces them to have a break and they're able to chat with their colleagues. I like that idea.
Good suggestions, Jackie. She's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
We're gonna have to have Jackie on the show. So if you
Yeah. Who's this Jackie? I want to meet Jackie.
it's many years since I've seen her, but hi Jackie. Thanks for
Thanks, Jackie.
see? Networking from a long time ago.
Yeah, really.
You know, I think one of the things I said, somebody said to me when we first started the show, and as we got in, they said, well, how are you going to find speakers for every show? And we're on our 38th episode. And I said, it's not a problem. Because I got a long list of people in my network.
Yeah, you know everybody. Yeah, it's a problem.
And so do Crystal and John and Cynthia. We all do, right? But I said, that's probably the easiest part of doing the show is getting the speakers. I was because we've all built up those networks over the years, right? Yep. And so we're coming up to the hour, but I wanted to say thank you to everybody that joined us. I know we had a lot of new people join us, and I'm sure it's because of our King and Queen networkers. So if you're not in our group, please do join our group. We'd love to have you on. I want to say thank you to you both. You brought such valuable information, and that's really what our whole agenda of the show is, to bring valuable information to our viewers in that, and especially in these times. We are in times that we've never experienced. So we really appreciate you both taking time out of your busy schedules and to share your expertise. If you'd like to to see about working more with Theresa or with Frank, we've put all their contact information. Cynthia's been putting it into the news feed or the chat there. So please look it up as well. We posted it in the group. They're both great resources for your business. And what we've sometimes talked about often is having reaching out to professionals in their fields, because they can actually really increase your business. And sometimes we got caught up. I think I was saying this last week. Sometimes we think, oh my God, I've got the money to do it. But the fact is that money you spend will come back to you tenfold by using experts like Theresa and like Frank, because they know what they're doing and they're going to guide you, and it'll build your business and it'll build it solidly. Or if you want to expand your business or pivot because of the times we're in, I strongly recommend checking them out and speaking with them directly. So next week, this month, what we did is our focus was on business and business in 2021, doing business. And next week we are going to have Nicole, okay, let me get this right. Nicole Hendrick from the CFIB. Anyways, we're going to be talking, Nicole's going to be talking to us about what resources are out there right now. We know so many businesses have been heavily affected by the pandemic. So she's going to go through different things on what's out there, what kind of support and how to go about Again, the CFIB is the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. If you are a small business owner or a business owner, it's a great organization. They lobby on behalf of small businesses. And I tell you, they've worked very, very hard and very diligently. A lot of the programs that are in place are thanks to the CFIB. So we're really appreciative of them. Theresa and Frank, I'll just give you guys the floor back to say closing thoughts for everybody.
I just want to say thank you for thinking of us and for having us on. It was a lot of fun, and I hope people got some good tips out of it. Thank you.
For sure.
Likewise, thank you. I've really enjoyed it. And one thing that I've heard in the last several months is the trust and genuineness. And I think we hit that today. So if we really do care about other people and want to help, I think that's a good takeaway as well today. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Welcome.
guys.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Therese.
And
Thank
Chris and
you.
Don, did you have any parting thoughts or?
Me?
Scott, any parting thoughts?
No. Well, I go back to that. The main thing is, how can I help?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Like, it's, and then it might be not, I can't help, but I can hook you up with Crystal, or I can hook you up with Rosemary or Frank or Theresa, and
Yep.
they can help you. I can't maybe do it, but they can.
That's right. I think that's such an important part of networking. I always found if I couldn't do something, I'm like so happy that I can say, well, this is who can help you.
Yep.
And even in my own business, sometimes people, it's not something I do or carry. And I'll say, but you know what, here's a company that we do work with, and they do have what you're looking for. So again, thank you, everybody. This was great. I know we'd like to have you both back again, because I'm sure there's so much more you can share with us. So I hope you will come back in the future. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and being part of our community. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. We're right back here again at 1 o'clock. Check out Frank's Wednesday Wisdom. I know I'm going to be checking out. And Theresa, check out Theresa's TED Talks. And we'll see you all back next week. Thank you for being with us. Please like and share it.
Thank you.
Alex
Bye-bye.
check music from his new album, which is Motor City Sway.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Thank you, guys.
All
Take
right. Bye-bye.
Good week.
Bye.